Hello and welcome to another episode of the Five at the Back Soccer Podcast. I am your host, Charles, here with Jen, Eric, and Scott. Unfortunately, we're missing Skiff and Christian tonight, but we will proceed. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about tonight. As always, come and check us out our Twitter page at FIVEATB. That's 5ATB on the Twitter. So come check us out, send us a message, follow us. Oh, we got all kinds of great content throughout the week and especially during the games. Okay, so topic number one tonight for us to talk about. Last weekend, we saw probably one of the biggest rivalries in the history of football. Definitely one of a top rivalry within the English game. The game was postponed due to protests from the Manchester United fans, my lot, over the owners, over the Glazers. So before I give my input from my side of things, let me toss it over to you Liverpoolites, and what's your thoughts? How were you feeling when you found out the game was postponed?
Eric, you want to go first?
I was always thrilled. We don't have to watch maybe a potential loss, but actually, to be honest with you, but I was kind of disappointed because, like you said, it's a great rivalry. I understand, what they're trying to do, and one of the things that people talk about when they do, kind of violent protests or riots is really it's the language of the unheard, and the fans are basically throughout the years being felt like they've been unheard. With the ticket prices, rising. With just the mismanagement of the club. I think I saw something, I know you're going to go in United later, but something about the infrastructure, them not putting money back in there. There's just a laundry list. I'm not going to make it about Liverpool, and we've discussed our problems as well, but a lot of the bigger clubs in England, have this problem. And in general, I think it boils down to one of the causes is not listening to the fans. We need to have more fan representation on the board, which we had none before. The protest, they're talking a little bit about it now. And I really think it's just to grab people's attention and say, hey, look, this is serious. This is a game that we love. We've grown up with. It's woven in the societal fabric of England and throughout Europe. And we really need to make it the people's game again. And I think that's what their aim was. And I think they kind of at least got on the road to pulling that off. What do you guys think?
I think that I don't know, like on one hand, you can totally understand what happened. Looking at the footage that I've seen, I was surprised how easy it was for them to breach what counted for as security. That was honestly surprising to me.
That's yeah.
I think in hearing some of the people respond to it, I think some of the stuff they called violations of norms, and they were just kind of shocked by. I was like, oh, it can get so much worse. Like maybe it's just because I have a very vivid imagination. I maybe it's because I work with teenagers. Like, I don't know, but I've seen girl fights that were so much more violent than anything I saw in the news coverage. That I just I didn't understand some of the outrage, like some of the level of outrage. I do think in some ways they knew that this was planned and they should have had more security. This should not have been I don't know, like it's almost like the insurrection on the 6th. Mm-hmm. Like you knew things were, like paying attention to social media, you knew it was coming, you knew that you needed to be prepared to deal with whatever was going to show up. But I agree, Eric, that it's hopefully a turning point for more fan involvement as far as decisions and the vetting process of potentially large scale changes, things that are like seismic, they need to handle that better, if that makes any sense.
So
Totally.
overall,
I know what people are going to say. People are going to say, well, you can't have the fans run the club. I mean, well, that's true too, but there's got to be a happy medium between fans running the club and, screw you guys, just give us your money and we don't care what you say. There's got to be a happy medium between the two, you know?
yeah. So overall, it sounds like you guys are very much in support of the fans' right to protest and them using that as a voice. But talk to me just from a pure Liverpool fan standpoint. Did it disappoint you that the game didn't get played?
Of course. It's one of the best rivalries. Was it going to go our way? Probably not. I mean, like, in all honesty,
Confidence.
I think I may have even picked Liverpool just because, like, I was like, I'll be the one that does it. Speak it into existence kind of thing. Which I actually did pretty good last week. I think I got like three right. So I was really excited about that. No, I mean, like, it's always a bummer when things get delayed. But if there's something, like, if we had something in college football that was as big as what happened, and then all of a sudden protests delayed the Florida State Miami game, or the Florida State, you know what I mean? You'd be like, whoa, that was like, but you'd understand it because it's a consequence, and it's not like the fans just did this on their own. Like, there were precipitating events that led to this.
So would you all agree that that's a fair American comparison, like the postponement of Florida State Miami, or an Ohio State Michigan, or a USC Notre Dame game level rivalry?
I think so.
100%.
It's a long-standing rivalry that the whole nation, or most of the nation that's into that sport, watches. That's pretty equivalent to United and Liverpool, that, those that are in the sport are going to be watching that. I saw a stat on Twitter that said the coverage of the insurrection, I guess, the protest, the Liverpool and for the Man United fans, the coverage of that dwarfed Tottenham's game and then another match as well. So we're just the most massive club in England. So it's going to happen.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. And from my side of things, like my own experience, on the fan side, this is what I will I'll explain what happened as my explanation of how I felt. So Sunday was second day of graduation for the school that I work at. So the graduation started, or was slated to start, at 3:00. We as faculty had to line up between 2 and 2:30. So knowing the game starts at 11:30, I'm like, okay, that game will be done right around 1:30. Perfect. I'm going to go to campus. I'm going to watch the game from my office. That way I can see the entire game, right? So I do that. I left early, went to my office, go to pull up the game, I got there just before 11:30. So, I'm setting everything up. I realized it was on regular television, and so I had to stream the game, and I couldn't use the Peacock app to stream it, which I already signed up for and whatnot. So I had to sign up for Hulu with live TV just so that I could watch the game. I literally signed up for a month of Hulu with live TV just so I could pay the money, log in, game's postponed. That was the most expensive
news coverage
non-game ever. I was disappointed that I didn't get to watch anything.
Fair.
But in the exact same vein as you guys, I 100% am on the side of the fans in this. I've been Glazers out for many, many years. And what you were talking about earlier about the reinvestment in the club. So the Glazers bought the club back in 2005, I believe. In that time, since 2005, the Glazers have taken out more than $1 billion from Manchester United and used it to fund themselves and their other business ventures. Now, it's rather interesting that they were even able to buy the club in the first place, given that they were saddled with debt from their other business real estate ventures here in the United States. For those who don't know, the Glazers also own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think they were able to leverage the fact that they owned the Buccaneers at the time to help them secure the financing to be able to purchase Manchester United. But in that time, they have done exactly the opposite of what a sports fan team owner wants, and that's pull money out and not put it back in. I don't think anybody was like, the people were upset that they were taking out money to pay off debts, but that could have been remedied had they taken, I don't know, the club that brings in, has been a top 5 revenue generator in the world for, I don't know, this entire century. And had they taken some of that money and reinvested it into the coaching, the players, all that kind of stuff, and really produced at a rate that, made sense for a Manchester United club. But they didn't do that. They haven't done that. They keep claiming, we don't have enough money. We're not making enough money. We've got all this debt, which is true. Since they've came in, Man United has been in debt every single year. We've done nothing but pay interest on debt and continue to accrue debt. And it is easily one of the biggest financial mishaps that you could possibly look at, given the revenue that we generate throughout. So overall,
I got a stat on that. I'll let you keep going. In the last 10 years, United have paid more in interest payments than the rest of the league combined. 496 million pounds more than the rest of the league in the last 10 years
in interest, which exceeds the initial amount of money that they took out and put the club in debt for.
Next is Arsenal at 140. It's literally more than the rest of the league over the last 10 years.
Yeah. So to say that Man United fans are upset is the biggest understatement you could possibly make.
It's a little bit of an understatement.
The coverage of the protests, we don't live in the UK, so we don't necessarily get the same coverage that they do. The coverage that we saw was bits and pieces through social media, as well as some through NBC Sports. Overall, I didn't have an opinion one way or another about the coverage itself. I know that there were a lot of complaints online about the coverage and how it didn't frame it the way it should have. That's a discussion for another time with another group. What I was surprised, I was just as surprised as you guys that they were able to get in to Old Trafford. I thought the way that it looked like, and some of the videos I've seen, it seemed very much like the videos that came out after what happened on the 6th, where there may have been people who were just kind of like, well, we'd rather you just get in, and rather than you try and destroy stuff to break your way in. So maybe there was some communication on the inside of like, well, if you open a door and let them walk in, they're not going to tear gates down and tear doors down and that kind of thing. So maybe it was a little bit of preventative situation there. I am happy that those fans who went onto the field did not do anything to destroy it, but I also think that shows the level of the level of importance to those fans that the club is. Like, they didn't want to destroy the stadium because the stadium means more, and the idea is that the Glazers are not a part of this. They're not a part of the family. They're not a part of the Manchester United. Their apology was beyond half-hearted. I haven't heard a single fan yet that believes. They're like, oh yeah, I believe them. They're going to really try and get in touch with the fan now. Nobody believes it. Everybody thinks it's total crap. So disappointed that the game got postponed. Frustrated at the way in which they've rescheduled things. I'm going to talk about that, how they've rescheduled that game to the upcoming week, where United already have 2 games. But at the same time, given where we're at in this season, we'll manage and we'll get through it. It's not the worst possible thing that could have happened.
It's like Christmas.
A little bit.
May.
Definitely for my fantasy team. Definitely some Christmas for my fantasy team. So, but yeah, overall, I mean, highly support the protest. I know that I've seen rumors that they'll be doing another one for the upcoming game. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this one gets postponed as well. There's real talk of that. One of the other rumors that I'm seeing out there, Scott, you can jump in on this, about the possibility of Spurs fans protesting outside of your upcoming game.
Yeah, they're going to do it on the 15th of May. I believe it's when we play Villa, on the first time that we'll have fans in the stadium. There's a pretty big protest planned, and we're in a similar position. Well, similar. I mean, our fans are so jaded, in my opinion. When ENIC bought Spurs, we were firmly mid-table, right? You can make all the jokes you want about where we're at this season, but I mean, it's not, you can't even have the conversation with me. If you want to, we'll do that separately. But there's a very aggressive Enoch out, Daniel Levy out group of the fan base that's kind of coming from the same, this isn't our football club, it's just, so there's the similar sentiment, far more unfounded in my opinion. I mean, look at our stadium, built a 1.2 billion pound stadium. Look at the team. When I started following Tottenham, it was Edgar Davids on the back of a Juventus career and Martin Jol. Is like, come on, like we just had Jose Mourinho making 15 million pounds a year, and we got Gareth Bale, Harry Kane. Like, just stop. Like, I understand, due to the protest, the Super League was BS. I get it, but in my opinion, the two situations are just so different, and I don't want to conflate the two and have people mix up what the true issue is. And the Glazers are using United. They're just sucking the life out of the club. Like, United is really the club in the world who can support itself. Like, if I had enough money, if I had just enough money to buy United would be good, because I wouldn't take any money out. Like, you don't have to have enough money and like, well, damn, I gotta have enough money to buy some players too, because United generate enough cash to buy the players. Like, it's not United plus investment. It's like, okay, United, spin the top and let it go.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I'm gonna kind of bring Liverpool in on this as well. So, Eric, I wanted to talk to me about FSG and John Henry, and I mean, the apology that he gave. He was the first one to really step out with the apology, and he made that video, and he was dressed like everybody's favorite grandpa in it, which honestly, I talked to my classes about that. I was like, if you guys want to ever see like one of the saddest attempts at everybody, you should like me. I'm friendly. Go watch the video of that. Now, speak to me about, like, from a Liverpool standpoint and the fan standpoint. Are they latching on? Are they believing it? And what is the sentiment about FSG? Should they stay? Should they go? That kind of thing.
I think most of them didn't believe it. To me, he came off as, and I appreciate he made the effort. He didn't have to make the effort at all, although it would be bad optics if he didn't, but at least he made the effort. But he came off as kind of pompous, and I don't know if he really truly meant it from the heart. A lot of fans are FSG out. I was actually going to spin around to you guys, Scott and Charles, in a minute after I say my piece, but I know I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I don't know how to feel, because I was joking around with Scott the other day. He was talking about the owners. I said, now do FSG, get them out too. But I kind of feel bad complaining about it, because they brought us some trophies, to be honest. We came close to some of the other. We came 1 point away and a couple of years ago from the Premier League championship. And we made the semis versus Atletico and the Champions League a couple of years ago. So when I first started following the club, they weren't as good. We had 2005, but we didn't have nearly the success we had since they brought Klopp over. So in that aspect, they're good. But on the other hand, they tried to trademark, Liverpool, and they did some stuff with the Liverbird. They didn't consult the fans at all. They just started hiking up ticket prices. There's no fan representation, although they did meet this week. Billy Hogan, the CEO, met with Spirit of Shankly, which is our big fan group, and there's supposed to be 2 fan representatives on the board now. But there's just lots of little stuff that really kind of irks people the wrong way. So I know on Twitter we have top Reds, we call them. They're kind of just split into factions. So fans are top Reds that kiss FSG's butt and love them, and they can do no wrong. And then we got bottom Reds who are kind of like me, but worse, but complain about every little thing. So, so we're kind of in the middle. I was going to spin it to you guys. Should we have, Jen and I and all the Liverpool fans out there, do we have a right to complain about FSG from your standpoint? Should we, or should we not? What do you guys think?
Why don't you answer first?
Okay.
We'll circle back to that question.
Am I wrong, Jen? Am I wrong on this?
Well, okay. So I, at least my take on things is Liverpool is in a situation where they have foreign owners that come at their ownership from more of a business perspective than as a part of a legacy perspective. Like they're in it for the money. It's cool when we get to lift trophies, but the analytical part overrules if there is a heart part kind of thing. But we don't have the situation where I feel like we're being pilfered from. Like there's very much a I'm trying to think of a word that's like, and I the only word that can come to mind is going to be so controversial. Like I'm not even going to say it. But well, it's just no. I know that it would be bad. So, but it's like you guys. I don't know. I really feel like Manchester United is in a position where they are like legitimately being taken advantage of. Like,
Big
the
time.
R word is all I can. Yeah, like there's some like serious. Like yeah, and so we don't have that same level of animosity. We don't have that same level of victimization that I think is understandable from the Manchester United perspective. And so do we have things to complain about? Yes. But like it's just not the same. So anyway, okay. I'm done.
Fair enough. So the question of do you have reason to complain? Unequivocally, my answer is absolutely. As a fan and a supporter of the club, if you truly believe that something is not being handled the way it should be handled, then you have every right to complain about what's going on. Should you want FSG out? Maybe not. I at the moment, we not only do we consider how is FSG running the club currently, but also what are the other options? Who else could come in and purchase Liverpool and do a better job? And at current moment, we don't have a whole lot of suitors that are going to spend that kind of money and then not do the exact same thing. So maybe it is a kind of we don't like exactly what's going on, but we don't know that there's a better option out there. Another thing that I didn't bring up earlier that further has pissed off the Man United fans. So post Super League, the Glazers came out and said, we're going to try and reconnect with the fans. That pissed off a lot of fans because they're like, you didn't connect with us in the first place, so you can't really reconnect with us. But then they held meetings. They held a fan forum, and guess who was absent?
The
Glazers.
People that needed to hear.
But they wrote a letter.
They did write a letter. They did write a letter. Yeah. They had somebody read it. Ed Woodward was there. The guy who's resigned already. He attended the fan forum. They held a Q&A session. I think it was yesterday.
Who read the letter, by the way? Was it like Farnsworth, Bentley? Like who read the letter for the
to be honest, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
Just
but
imagine
somebody else reading
process.
the letter in front,
like here, read this. Just read this to them
from the scroll, and they like open it.
Hear ye.
That would have been perfect. Just
Dumbledore looked like from
the proclamation from above is such that.
Right.
But yeah, they hold a Q&A thing, and they don't let reporters ask any questions.
So where'd the questions come from?
That's
great question for the questions.
This is the kind of thing where you're like, everything that you are trying to tell us right now, we can't believe you because you refuse to take any type of criticism,
corrective action.
You're not actually listening to the fans. You're like just feeding us lines. I mean, I would even be completely 100% okay with what happened to the LA City Council. You guys remember that open Zoom session that they had? It was on Twitter a while back, and people were they'd get 30 seconds and they can say or ask whatever they want. Just do that, just so that the Glazers have to sit there and listen, and suffer for a little while.
After all that happened, that takes a lot of guts to not even show up. Come on,
it is the Glazer way.
That's the problem. So there's this, before you buy a club, there's all these tests and things you have to pass. Like they won't let Mark Cuban buy a baseball team in the US, but like any joker who sells potatoes in Russia can buy a club in London. But so there's this fit and proper test, right? with owners and the Premier League, and it supposedly is issued every year. It's not like, well, you buy the club and then you never have to do it again. It's every year you have to pass the fit and proper test. And in my opinion, there should be, if there's going to be regulation, part of the regulation should be, are you not, it's, you can't prove intent. You can almost never prove intent. I don't want it to be that, but there needs to be some level of like,
responsiveness.
what
Like
are you doing this for? And
Yeah.
are you engaging? There should be requirements to engage and be local to some degree. Live where you want to, but you got to be there for this number of events and show
Right.
your face this number of times, and like take your kick in the what, you know what, like if that's what you
Mhm.
deserve. It just doesn't make sense to me. This whole thing is 15, 16 years in the making, right? Roman took over Chelsea in what, 03, 04, something like that. And
Something along those lines, yeah.
the Glazers took over 2 years later, and this has been coming since then. Let's be honest. Like, and Roman's different because he's, wherever the money comes from doesn't matter. He's throwing money at Chelsea. The Glazers
Right.
came in a similar fashion, takeover wise, and have done the opposite. So it's like you have a group of leeches attached to Old Trafford, and here's where my issue with Liverpool fans comes in. You don't have that. Like, the Glazers are literally leeches to
Yeah.
United. Liverpool are 5th in the league in revenue over the last 10 years. I think you've overperformed that, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
think you would agree with that. I understand your issues. I'm not like poo-pooing there should be, like, they're perfect. I'm a Tottenham fan, trust me. I understand. But you have drastically overperformed your monetary status in the league. Now, you could argue, should it be more than 5th as the second biggest club in England? That's a different conversation. I'm just saying.
That's what I was thinking.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, you're not like right there behind United when it comes to money. But lately, success-wise, you've besides City, which is a whole different kettle of,
Whole conversation.
yeah, I don't even want to go there. But I hear you, but you're performing well relative to the money that's coming in. It's not like FSG's putting in their pocket. You got Van Dijk, you got Alisson out of the Coutinho deal. You know what I'm saying? There's some reinvestment there. Like, United are paying ridiculous interest. They're issuing themselves dividends, and they still have 550 million pounds in debt, second to only Tottenham. And the only reason Tottenham has that is because they built a brand new stadium in the most expensive city in the world. You guys didn't do that.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and yeah. Sorry.
And the only other thing that I'm going to throw out there before we move on to talking about some actual games that went on, so you talked about how Chelsea and the Glazers, like Abramovich bought Chelsea right about the same time as the Glazers purchased United. Abramovich's main source of income isn't Chelsea. Like, he makes money off of Chelsea. Absolutely. It's an investment for him, but he makes his fortune elsewhere. And that's where his, so he doesn't rely on Chelsea. Whereas the Glazers are literally relying on United. I mean, they like I said, they own the Buccaneers. You guys know as well as I do, the Buccaneers haven't been a successful NFL franchise for quite a number of years. I mean, they just paid for Tom Brady and a bunch of other stars to go and win a Super Bowl, which I'm sure brings that in some money. But, based on the way that the finances and the structure of things work in the NFL, the fact that the Buccaneers were not a good team, they still profited from that because they had low overhead on payroll and they didn't pay for their stadium at all. The city of Tampa financed that stadium, and so they didn't have any expense there. So they were making profit off of just the TV revenue that was coming in and ticket sales and things like that. It's a low overhead, basically. I don't want to say scam. It's a scam. All right. They're leeching. That's all they're doing is they're leeching off of the Bucks. They're leeching off of Manchester United. This is their income source. And they want to act like they're this, this important thing. And I think what the fans are most aggrieved at this point is they have no way of forcing them to sell. There is no measure in which the fans can force out an owner. And that, to me, is the most problematic element.
So how would you fix that?
The league
would have to rewrite the rules.
The fit and proper test would have to be enforced in a way that it's never been.
Right.
I read
and you'd have to
something
get all
Kind
the
of
all
like
the owners to
financial fair
agree,
play. Okay.
right? And you'd have to go all the owners to agree to it.
and that's such a slippery slope because they're never going to do it because they know they're next. Like Mike Ashley, imagine Mike Ashley, Newcastle. You think United's bad? At least you're finishing in the top half.
True.
I read something today that the Glazers are trying to grow United to a $10 billion
organization, and that's the thing. No one, with the way that United
It's
is operated,
ridiculous.
there's no way that anyone can stop them from wanting to do that.
Right. And the Cronkies are doing the same thing at Arsenal. Like, I think that's hilarious personally. But it's almost the exact same situation really though, because the Cronkies have the Rams, they have I'm actually blanking. There's other, I'm sure Dana and Joel will fill me in on what I'm missing here. But the Cronkies have all kinds of business investments. And I will say one of the Cronky family tree, I'm not sure how many branches there are, but one of them showed up for the fan forum for Arsenal. He did show up, and he, was dismissive and rude, in my opinion. But he showed up. He didn't read off a
Physically.
a prepared statement.
But it's the same thing. Like it in the way it was posed and what I read is it to the Kroenke family, Arsenal are the crown jewel of their financial empire because they make so much money.
Yeah.
Like think about that. They own the Rams, and Arsenal are the crown jewel of their income.
Their empire.
And Arsenal have sucked. Arsenal have sucked. Like, did you? Let's just transition. Arsenal have sucked.
Yeah,
right?
but we saw that as a result of their loss today, that'll be the first time in 25 years that they haven't played in Europe.
That's so
25
sad.
years in Europe. I mean, but think about revenue. That's still an extra stream of revenue that they're going to be generating.
So
but
basically, so as we're moving on, anyone who's interested in like the finance side of this and who thinks it's the profit and loss, the dividends, the interest payments, all that stuff, the Swiss Ramble on Twitter
Really
is
good.
the best.
Very good, yeah.
Like literally the best follow for anything. It's really easy to understand.
And
Swiss Ramble.
We'll retweet it out as well. So if you check out our account, you'll be able to find it and,
it's great.
And follow it.
It's
so
great.
All right, so let's briefly touch on some of the games that actually did happen last weekend. Scott, I'll kick it right back over to you. Spurs had a day. I mean, is Ryan Mason really starting to fit in?
You know what? It's almost hard for me to be so excited because it was Sheffield, right? Like they're one of the worst teams in the history of the Premier League. Literally, like they're one of the fastest clubs to be confirmed to be relegated in the history.
We were
of the
talking
league.
about whether or not they were going to get to double-digit points back in December.
Right.
I remember
but
us
I'm
having
still,
that conversation.
Like anybody who's watching the YouTube, like I'm smiling like a Cheshire cat. Like it doesn't even matter. Like the City game to me is like I don't even want to talk about it because come on, like Ryan Mason, Pep Guardiola. I've been there, done that. Like it was going to happen, whatever. I don't care. But Southampton and Sheffield, you saw how you want Spurs to play. Take the opponent out. I hear all the giggles, like not you guys, but the people listening are like, Southampton and Sheffield. I don't care. Like we pressed high up the field. And like there's like 60% of our shots were within 12 seconds of us winning the ball back. Like we pressed high, we counterattacked, and we got shots off, a bunch of them. And Sheffield were like you could see it. They thought they had a chance. Then we scored. They're like, oh god. And then in the second half they came out. It was 1-0. So like, oh man, we're gonna go after them. We score. They crumbled. And it was just, I haven't seen that from Tottenham in so long. Like Jose is an absolute trash can. On fire. Like I am convinced he is absolute garbage as a manager. I'm not kidding. I hope somehow he listens and he hears me. It's Scott Mackey. You're garbage. Roma Cerruti, I'm so sorry. Like just look, just watch the back line since Mason took over. We just have the ball. Like it's not like they're better. We possess the ball so they don't have to suck as often because they don't have to defend. It's not rocket science.
Well, this really begs the question though. What is it that Mourinho is doing that causes teams that have ability to suddenly go, I mean, for lack of a better term, go stupid on the field? I mean, the same thing happened at United. Almost to the T, what happened at Spurs happened at United. And I mean, when was the last time that Mourinho had a successful spell as a manager?
Well, so he gets all this credit for his tactical, he's a masterclass
Innovations, yeah.
Mourinho. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, it's just not true. Like, it's just not true. He himself, we talked about this a while ago, had written a pre-match analysis of the Ajax Man United Europa League match a few years ago, right? And he targeted Sanchez in possession. So now he literally owns Sanchez as a player and doesn't change his tactics for the player. Like, you are a dinosaur. Like,
Mhm.
if you won't change when because you wrote that stuff, you wrote it 2 years ago, so it's not different, and he didn't change. So it's like, I don't want to hear anymore that he's got this tactical savvy, and he's not good at any of that anymore. He's not good at man management. You can ask Deli, ask Bale, ask almost anybody but
Right.
Harry Kane. His
Ask Luke
tactics
Shaw.
are trash. Luke Shaw, Paul Pogba. There's always like three
Aw.
players that love Mourinho, and they're like, well, mate, like, I love Jose. And it's like, okay, you look at his
You're
trophy
trying
cabinet,
not to get kicked off the team right now.
right? So it's like, okay, I'm over it. He's gone, and Mason is like the palate cleanser for
The
the
breath
next
of fresh
manager.
air. Yeah.
which is good. I mean, it's good to see. Honestly, like, I do I want Spurs in Europe next year? Absolutely not. No, of course not. But do I want you guys to completely fall off the cliff? Yes, definitely. But it hasn't happened, and I know you're happy about that, and I'm happy for you in that respect. But I'm going to kick over now. Let's talk about a couple of games that were honestly a bit of a surprise from my end. I know a couple of you have made picks, but I don't know that you were genuinely thinking that would happen. Brighton
Yeah.
beat Leeds 2-0. Who
Oh
saw
boy.
that coming? I mean,
I did not.
Magic of Potter.
Brighton is literally the one. How far underperforming are they, Scott?
They're fifth in the XG table.
Explain that for our viewers, because I don't understand what you're talking about.
Okay. So basically, there's we've talked XG, right? Like the value, the expected value of every shot attempted on an attack and conceded in defense, and then each shot attempt calculates to a goal, and the goal is attached to points, and that basically transfers from shots conceded, shots attempted to expected points from the combination of the two. Like, you attempt really good shots and you don't concede very many good shots. Basically, that's kind of how it works. The fewer shots, the better. And they're fifth in the table as far as expected points go. And they're like 16th in the table from performance. So
yeah,
yeah,
they should be scoring a whole lot more. But for anybody who's watched Brighton this season, as soon as their strikers get the ball in, near, around the box, it's like they automatically think they're now defenders. Like, they're clearing the ball wide, they're hitting it over the crossbar. I have seen more Brighton shots for throw-ins than any other team this entire season. So honestly, I wasn't expecting the score. I mean, at this point, it kind of became a bit of a broken record for me. Oh, Brighton's playing. Oh, they play well. Yeah, that's great, but they don't score, so it doesn't really matter. They're not going to win games. And then they come out and they play Leeds, who Leeds has been a bit up and down, but honestly, they haven't had that much difficulty with scoring goals. So I was expecting a rather big beatdown by Leeds this week, and we definitely did not get it.
Could it? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just saying. Do you think it could have been that in between game? You know what I mean? So like they beat Man City, right? Held even with us, held even with you. After Brighton, they've got Tottenham.
So
was it just the sandwich game that they were like,
maybe? Well,
we've got this.
Not to mention, not just a look ahead game, but like the fatigue. I mean, the fatigue may realistically be setting in. I mean, we know from the beginning of the season, Bielsa asks a lot of his players, especially of their fitness and their effort during the match. And it's getting to the end of the season. Premier League is a grueling season, and so maybe we're seeing the fatigue. They just played 3 straight matches against top opponents, and they got another one coming up. Yeah, maybe that's something I should have considered when I made my picks. I don't know, but another big shocker: Leicester and Southampton. Game ended 1-1, and Southampton lost a man in the 10th minute. Now, granted, that should not have been a red card. They should not have lost the man at all. But it happened, and they moved forward, and Leicester could not seal the deal. How badly, in your opinion, how badly does that affect Leicester's top 4 hopes?
not bad enough.
I don't
You
know.
think they still make it?
Probably.
Well, they've got Chelsea, right, and United, and Tottenham.
Yep.
And the Tottenham match is on the final day. So if we're within 2 points, all of a sudden they're going to have nightmares back to last season when the same thing happened, right? Like
True.
it's different playing Tottenham though. Like, because okay, like if one of us is going to screw it up, who's it going to be? Come on.
Who can
I mean,
Leicester Tottenham it better? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, that's the real question. Is Leicester going to Leicester, or is Tottenham going to Tottenham?
So they only have to really drop 5 points between now and the final match to be in a really shaky position going into that final day of the season.
Mm-hmm.
When Spurs are flying high, Ryan Mason, who cares? Nobody expected anything. Whereas Leicester is going again from third. Oh God, pull the cord. Shoot's not coming, pull the cord. And you know, like it, and they basically just can't drop 5 points from United and Chelsea. If they do, I don't know.
And let's be fair. I mean, we all saw Chelsea and United this week and last week in their respective European games. I mean, Leicester is not coming into either game as a favorite.
No.
I mean, they drop 2 points to a 10-man Southampton team. Their only striker that's firing right now is Iheanacho.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I would say, if the hype on Iheanacho is only partially warranted. I mean, half of the goals that he's getting are kind of sitters in front of goal. So those are goals he should score. Now, granted, in the past he hasn't, but he should score, half those goals. Some of them have been good. And there's no doubt.
We would like some of those. I'm just saying, like some of those, like it's right there.
Yeah.
Gonna have to train Bobby Firmino first.
Oh,
but
right. I got a question. If you win the FA Cup, do you qualify for anything in Europe?
Yes.
Europa League.
Okay.
It's like it's not the knockouts, so I think it's the qualifying rounds, right?
Yeah, I think you get in the group stage.
But it's a guarantee and so neither one's gonna fall farther than like 6, though. I don't see. I mean, I'd love it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I would. But
Chelsea, Tuchel is just too. He'll be too boring if he has to. He'll finish third, in my opinion, at Chelsea. I'm not saying he's boring, so don't Chelsea fans don't do that. I'm just saying if he needs to,
I will. He's boring.
But they'll complete 700 passes and score 0 goals if they have to,
True.
And I don't see them dropping those points.
But I mean, so to be fair, we look at this from a different perspective. Chelsea's position in the table may not matter.
True.
Chelsea, this may provide Leicester the opportunity to get in to a better spot, even despite, even if they finish 5th, they still may make Champions League because Chelsea and Man City now. I mean, realistically, at this point, there's an extra spot. Mm-hmm. Chelsea and Man City are both in the Champions League final, so now we have to consider. Yeah.
Now let me ask you this: if Leicester bottles it again, do you think Brendan's on the hot seat to get sacked or no?
Absolutely. I don't think he gets sacked, but I do think he's on the hot seat.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think they're totally in love with the man who owns his own portrait. No, I don't think so. So I don't want to, like, I know we've this is turned from a Leicester discussion to a top 4 discussion, but as much as I hate to say this, West Ham is just not going away like I thought they would, and they're very much in it. It's not the most challenging run in.
I know you hate them. Like, I know you hate them with a fiery burning passion. I like the fact that there's a non-traditional power that's in the mix.
Like, the fact that you can call them that is just like such a backhanded compliment to me that it's like, okay, like, we know that's cute, right? That's cute. Like them and their bubbles and the lone player who's going to go back to his parent club. And they're calling Moyes the Moyes-Saya. Like, that's just gross, right? Like,
now they must be ousted.
Yeah, but you're calling him Messi Lingard. He's going to play his way into the 26-man England team for the Euros. Watch. And it's...
Yeah, but everybody knows we're joking. Everyone.
Right. But they're West Ham. They're a joke of a club. Everything they do.
That's why they have Messi Lingard.
Oh, I'm just saying, I like the fact that every once in a while there is someone else who's in the mix that just provides a wrinkle. You know what I mean? That takes somebody else's spot that they
sure.
feel is rightfully theirs.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, when the top five are the same teams that are in the top five right now at the end of the season, I won't be upset.
Yeah. Well, when Leicester won the league a couple years ago, right, with Claudio Ranieri, I mean, that was it was a fun story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean, to kind of follow. And it was nice to have something that was, you know, a change of pace.
No, it wasn't. It was terrible.
No, it was great. It built a lot of it built up on the hope and the dreams aspect of sport, and people fell in love with it. And honestly, the best part about that is the odds that it was, because it was such a monumental achievement from that perspective, that it's something I get to always talk about in class when they always talk about, oh, like, well, this team won the Super Bowl and they weren't supposed to, or well, this team won the NBA title and I'm like, you have no idea how big of an odds breaker it was that they did that year. So okay, so let's move into that Champions League discussion, and let's talk about Champions League, Europa League. We now have the final set, an all English Champions League final, and I have a feeling it happened because I said it wasn't going to. So Chelsea and City fans, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. I hate you, but you're welcome. So yeah, let's talk City PSG just to begin with. That game, there, from start to finish, the second leg of that game, there was only one team on the field that was going to win the game, and that was City. City outclassed
it was not
PSG.
It was obvious from the kickoff.
Now,
but to be fair,
your best friend and mentor and you know, Uncle
Mo
is is it because of him?
Well, here's so I think maybe so Mbappe didn't play, right? So with the calf injury, and I think he got a little bit of the peps in him. So he's like, okay, Mbappe's not in there. What do I do to change things so it'll work without Mbappe? And he played Herrera in midfield over a couple of other options. And he started to make decisions because Mbappe didn't play. And he also played Icardi up top instead of Keane, which in my opinion was strange, because Icardi's like the Statue of Liberty is what they call him. He doesn't move. He'll touch it 6 times and he might score 2 times, or he might not, and then he's just touching it 6 times in 90 minutes. So he just got in his own head and just did some weird things, and it kind of just it fell apart.
Okay, 2 questions on this. How big of an impact was Mbappe sitting out for PSG? And what do you guys think as far as, does PSG now no longer have a chance at winning the not this year's Champions League, obviously, but Champions Leagues, as long as Pochettino is in charge?
I don't think
Why
so.
would they be able to do it next year?
No, I'm saying like because of Pochettino. Like they'll get close, but they'll never win it because of him.
Well, Klopp was the same way. I mean, up until he won. I mean, like, you haven't won it until you've won it. Like, I don't think Pochettino's record is that much of a hurdle. It's just something he hasn't done yet, but he will.
Essentially, what I'm asking is, like, was his inability to win it at Spurs because of Spurs, or was it because of him? And then you transpose
or a combination of the two. I mean, why does it have to be a forced choice between the two?
I'm just asking. Just
curious. Well, I think it's important though to remember that Tuchel was sacked this season, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's not like he's been there and you think about those 2 managers and the differences in the way they want their teams to play. You know, like we just talked about Tuchel boring you into a 700 pass draw. Like Pochettino's not going to do that. Like he's going to have to use all 3 subs because the players' calves are going to fall off their legs from running around so much. So I think maybe he blows it, but I don't think it's because of this. I think that it's going to look a lot different, and he needs different midfielders, and he needs a little more pace in the back line. And maybe Marquinhos stays, maybe he goes, but there's a lot of, and there's also some dumb stuff that the players did. And it really was kind of annoying to hear some of the punditry blamed that on Pochettino. Like Verratti was acting like an idiot, and Angel Di Maria stamped his way into a straight red. Like it's got.
To be fair, Di Maria was Di Maria. That was that was just him being him. So yeah.
Right.
I mean, because it really begs the question of like, did Pochettino overachieve with Tuchel's team, and we should give Pochettino a chance to really kind of meld this into being his own team first, or did he take a team that could have won the Champions League and bottle it?
It's not the right players for him, in my opinion, because Tuchel wants to keep it, metronome it, find a vertical pass to get there, and it's like all action. It's very counterattack, very pressure, move the ball. There's not enough mobility in that midfield, in my opinion, and I think that's going to kill him and that'll change in the summer. They'll spend the money and get. And also, you got to remember, Idrissa Gueye got that red card, and that crushed their midfield in the second leg too. So you had Mbappe out and Idrissa Gueye out, who really is the midfield engine the way he wants to play.
Yeah, I mean, but he did exit in the second half, and and in the first half there weren't any major signs that PSG were going to like take control of the game and work
I thought
their
they
way
were
back
better.
in.
I thought that was the only time they were better than City. Like maybe not like monumentally better, but that was the only time you could even make the argument that they were better. But City is so good right now. It's sick. It makes me sick. Like it's finally like this Pep ball genius machine. Like get rid of the number 9. We don't need it. Like it's just kind of the ultimate thing he's built towards. It's his Frankenstein finally, right? Like he's finally got what he wants. I think he's gonna bulldoze Chelsea in the final, honestly.
Interesting.
Hopefully what we will be able to do is disassociate, you know what I mean, like the fact that it's City, and just appreciate the moment in time that it is that you're getting the chance to watch it, and you'll get to say, yeah, like I paid attention and saw them play, and
maybe
then we can snicker when the moment's gone.
Yeah, so I mean, at that point, let's flip over to the other game. What can we actually glean from Tuchel's Chelsea performance against quite possibly one of the worst and slowest Real Madrid teams that we've seen in 20, 30 years? I mean, Chelsea showed no signs whatsoever of losing to Real Madrid, and I mean, when your man of the match in both matches is Pulisic. I mean, no disrespect to Pulisic, but he isn't the best player on Chelsea's team, and he becomes star man in both legs of a semifinal for the Champions League, which he's never played in like that.
Yeah,
that Real Madrid team is one of the worst teams to be in a semifinal of the Champions League in a long time. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm sorry, you two.
We're sorry.
For what I just said.
We're sorry, I guess.
But
we lost to them. Good God.
Luka Modric is 35, right?
Is he really?
Casemiro is Casemiro. So it's just.
I thought it was really odd that Sergio Ramos came back and started and basically tried to operate the difference. I mean, wow, like because he got out there and he instantly looked old and slow, and honestly, I thought he was going to get out end up with a red because of. He's got a fiery temper for one, and then with him coming back from injury, I thought for sure there was going to be that whoopsie slide after I mistime a tackle and he'd go out in a red. But I mean the entirety of the game, I'm just sitting there going like, man, it's like a father-son match.
Well, but that's what makes me say City's going to crush them. Like Chelsea don't know, like City, PSG would have beat Madrid or Chelsea in my opinion.
Okay.
So that was the final to me when those two played, because Chelsea. But I don't even want it to seem like I'm the Spurs fan hating on Chelsea. Like I just said, Tuchel got canned from PSG this year. Well, he also just took over for Lampard, who we all clowned for 15 months. So that's not even fair to Tuchel to make this like out to be his Chelsea team. I will say that
he's only lost one match.
Right, but his system's easier to implement, in my opinion, than Pochettino's is. Like it's easier to go from a lunatic pressing team to one that doesn't than the opposite, right?
Yeah.
From a fitness perspective. But
Yeah.
it's still not in his image too. So if he
Mhm.
gets steamrolled, that doesn't mean he can't be a good manager for Chelsea.
Right. He just needs the pieces. Yeah.
Does
Were you
does
guys?
team? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, because I'm going to change subjects.
Oh, okay. Well, does Timo Werner start the final?
Yes.
He starts
Who
more
else?
games than chances is he finishes. That's my opinion.
Who else would they put in there, Giroux?
They've got 6 forwards. They could pick anything. I mean, and that's honestly been one of the kind of the crazy parts about Tuchel's success, and it must be related to the system, is the fact that he has changed over the starting lineup so many times in so many different ways, and still found success. So
When Werner scored goals too, that's the scary part. Not a lot, but it's more than 0.
oh man, that
German to German.
that
Make it
off
happen.
that off the crossbar header. Ooh, ooh, that was a screamer. But okay, so we've got Chelsea, we've got City, Champions League final, a few weeks away. They got a few weeks to prepare. We'll circle back to this and get you guys' opinion back when it gets closer, because injuries can happen between now and then. All kinds of stuff can happen, so I don't want to make a prediction right now. Jen, why don't you go ahead and ask your question before we transition over to Europa?
Well, no, because it'll be better in just a second. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So Europa League matches happened today, and we had a chance. There was a legitimate shot at both Champions League and Europa League all English finals. But Arsenal was one of the teams that had to make it.
But
And we all know what Arsenal does when they have a chance to do things well. So, first game, Arsenal, Villarreal. The first leg, it was in Spain, and Villarreal won 2-1. Both teams ended up with a red card. I didn't watch the match, I'll be honest.
Wasn't even that close. It wasn't a 2-1.
It didn't feel like that it felt like Arsenal stole a goal at the, late.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the penalty was
second leg, Arsenal comes home, and I watched part of the match as I was flipping back and forth between the United match and every time I flipped over, it felt like zero drive from the Arsenal players to actually win this game. It didn't feel like they knew that they had to score goals to be able to make it through to the final. That's got to be on Arteta. It's got to be.
So just for anyone who doesn't pay a lot of attention to Arsenal or Villarreal, Unai Emery is the manager at Villarreal, and everyone remembers that Unai Emery was sacked at Arsenal. So he just knocked Arsenal out of the competition from being sacked and replaced by Arteta.
And real quick, let me just throw in as well. This is the first time that Villarreal has ever made a European final of any kind. It's not like they have a long history of making cup finals and whatnot. So Unai Emery, gets sacked at Arsenal, goes and takes over at Villarreal, and then knocks Arsenal out for their first ever cup final.
It's like a Hallmark movie that you're watching it, and you're like, oh, okay, I know what's going to happen here. Like,
the couple finally kiss. This is what that was.
Like, you guys know that GIF, that GIF of Michael Scott, and the tear comes when he's smiling. Because he's so happy. That was Scott today, throughout the entirety of it. He was just so happy.
I can't remember which former player it was for Arsenal. It was the dreaded, this is the darkest day in the history of the club. Like that always, it happens to all clubs eventually, right? That was today. And I was like, oh, I was just bathing in his tears. Like, it was just we don't even have a coach, right? And we look like the most competent club in North London. Thank God for the Cronkies. Thank God for Arteta. Dana, I'm so sorry, but thank God for you and everything that's happening to you right now. Oh,
yeah, what a game! But so, game ended 0-0. Obviously, Villarreal knew they didn't have to score. They only needed to score. Actually, they only needed to score if Arsenal scored twice, because of the away goal rule. But yeah, they were in a comfortable position and they weren't worried about losing it. So the other match, that was This was the epitome of the Jekyll and the Hyde of Manchester United, and I was talking to some of the other United fans pre-game when the lineups came out, and we're talking about how, first of all, United won the first leg 6-2, just absolutely in command. The first half of that game, we were down 2-1. We didn't look like we cared. We didn't look like we wanted to be in it. Come out in the second half, we absolutely smash them, score 5 goals. And so 6-2 going to Roma to play there. And I mean, realistically, all you have to do is not lose 4-0 and you're good. Our thought, conventional logic, was we stick out the B team. You stick out the players who haven't gotten a real chance to run a whole lot this season. They're not going to screw it up so bad that we lose 4-0, all that great stuff. We get the lineup out and it's strong. Why are we putting out a strong team, especially knowing coming up that there are league games? We've got, I think we have 4 games in 7 or 8 days right now.
Because you didn't play last weekend, this past weekend, I guess.
So we've got a bunch of games. Like, why are we putting out such a strong team? Why are we putting out Pogba, who's on a yellow, who if we get us a second yellow, he misses the final? Why are we putting out Bruno Fernandes? Why are we putting out Cavani? Why is Harry Maguire out there? Like, what are we doing? What sense does this make? Lo and behold, they had to play. And I asked the guys, I'm like, is this like just guaranteeing entrance into the final? Because the semifinal curse has been something that's been talked about now, because we've been to like 3 or 4 semifinals and hadn't made it past that stage under Ole. Or is there something else? Does he not trust the backup players and all that kind of thing? And I'll be honest, I'm not sure that he trusts our backups. Our squad depth is not there at the moment, and so that's got to be a major focus going forward. Because as talented as Bailly is as a player, he gets out of position so often. And Maguire, the fact that he's not quick means he has to rely on the positioning of his other defenders to be able to cover, the things. And if Bailly is out of position, I mean, there's almost no chance that Maguire's going to have the legs to get back and cover that. And we saw that today a lot. I mean, there were multiple times. I mean, realistically, I think at one point I saw that Roma had 20 shots and 11 of them on goal. That's insane. I don't think anybody has had that many shots against us this season. And it's a direct result of the energy, effort, desire, whatever you want to call it. I mean, at halftime, what changes does Ole make? He switches off both of the outside backs. Okay, so now we have only one of our normal starting back 4. And so what happens? Roma go crazy. I mean, they almost scored 4 goals in 5 minutes. Thankfully, David De Gea is our backup keeper. Imagine saying that. Imagine being able to vocally say that out loud and be serious about it. David De Gea, as our backup keeper, showed off that he's still a legendary keeper. He had an amazing game today. Some fantastic saves, some point blank stuff that he was keeping out. He saved us from being embarrassed, more or less. Without him and without the brilliance of Cavani, who has now finally found his footing in as part of an English club, United would have lost today. But game ended 3-2 in favor of Roma, but the aggregate, United 8, Roma 5. We move forward. If you put our starting 11, there should not be a way that Villarreal wins that match. I mean, we should be the heavy favorites going into that final. That's my opinion as a United fan.
So my question that I was going to ask earlier is based coming out about Jose landing at Roma. Were you guys surprised that he found his feet so fast?
Yes. To be honest, yes. Given his most recent tenures, I'm shocked that anybody but MLS is calling him. To be fair.
I almost wonder if Roma sacked, what is it, Fonseca or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to just totally brutalize that. I almost wonder, based on the timing, if they sacked him just to hire Jose, because it was within a matter of what, like 24, 36 hours they appointed Jose from when Fonseca or from whatever, I'm sorry, that gentleman was sacked. And he didn't do a bad job. I mean, the first leg against United was tough, but that was just strange timing. Just like we sacked Pochettino, and then 48 hours later, Mourinho's walking through talking to the accounting department on the Amazon documentary. So
I thought that moved very quickly with Jose as well.
Yeah, it all happened behind the scenes before anything was announced. I'm sure of it. So
saved us a ton of money, by the way, on payments on his contract.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this: Scott shared his disdain for Jose earlier. Do you think he's going to have any success at Roma?
I think he can.
Yeah.
He's got to learn some lessons.
He knows the Italian league. He was successful when he was with Inter there. He's got the biggest problem that he's got with Roma, and that was honestly what really showed in the matches against United, was they've got an experienced but old squad. I mean, they've got Mkhitaryan, they've got Edin Dzeko, they've got Chris Smalling, who's getting up there in age. They've got Pedro, who is 33, I want to say, or 34, something like that. The squad's getting old, and it's there's not a whole lot of speed. Now they have some young players, they've got some talent. So if he's able to ship out some of those older players and bring in some quality young players, yeah, there's a real chance. I think he'll put Roma back into like the 3-4-5 discussion, but I don't think he's taken Roma to the top of Italy.
No,
not with the talent.
It's no. Hey, Charles, who do you think is Spurs' worst central defender that actually plays? I'm surprised you're thinking this hard. I thought it would be off the top of your head.
Well, name somebody besides Eric Dyer.
It's Dyer, right?
I'm trying to think of some of your people who don't play though. That's what I'm saying.
The one that actually so he's already Jose's number one target.
Yeah, of course.
Like, no, the answer is no. Like, he's gonna change nothing. He's not this like tactical genius 20 years ahead anymore.
But he speaks Portuguese.
Great. Jose te llama Scott, like whatever, cool. Like, I can't manage in Italy either. It's just like the game is tactical everywhere now. Like, you can go into the Swedish 4th division and somebody's going to set up a 3-4-2 like to be cool and just be advanced. It's just not like it used to be. He's done. They're going to suck. He's going to get sacked again, and he's going to be on Sky Sports for the next World Cup.
Definitely not bitter.
I'm not. It's just true. Watch.
No,
you watch.
I'm just teasing. And plus, he's got to work on his man. He's got to work on his man management too, because he's a jerk.
Oh God, yeah. Although I will say this, his time at United and with his time at Tottenham, he definitely exhibited a much softer side than he did back at his Chelsea days. Like his Chelsea days and his Inter days and his days at Real Madrid, like he came across as the ultimate, I don't actually care about you and your feelings
douche,
in any way, shape, or form.
He tried though, like he did until he didn't, and then it was just like so thinly veiled, it was kind of gross.
Like I said, I said softer.
He said
softer, not his soft.
So somebody asked him, I think it was after we got eliminated by Zagreb, which is disturbing to say, in the Europa League. Somebody asked him like, hey, you've always had success in this competition. What happened? He literally said, same coach, different players.
Mm-hmm.
Like like, get out of here. Like, that is the most narcissistic garbage. Same coach, same tactics. 20 years later, you effing dinosaur, different players. That should have been the answer.
So basically he's the soccer coach version of Steve Spurrier.
That's actually pretty
I like
accurate.
that. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Okay.
It's good.
It's quality stuff.
I try.
Okay, so we are going to shift now over to talking about our Pickem update and our fantasy update. I will go ahead and recap the Pickem update because Skiff's not here. Hopefully he'll be back next week and can take over these duties again. Runaway leader still is Eric, doing a fantastic job. Honestly, Eric, not that I have any lack of faith in you, but knowing the way that soccer works and knowing the way that all these things work, I thought there was going to be some drop off. I thought that you were going to come back towards the mean and it would be a little bit more competitive, but you have run away with this season.
There's still time. So
there is still time, but it's not.
I'm
not
so
for me.
scared. I told you,
Not
I'm
with
so
the rest of us picking the way we're picking.
I told you I'm so scared of Bob.
We've only got a few more
scared
weeks.
of Bob.
We've only got a few more weeks, and so it's going to be tough for us to make any type of changes or challenges to this. So we got Eric on 66 points. Scott is still in second, although he is sharing the second spot right now with Skiff. They're both at 55, 11 points behind Eric. Christian moved up to third or fourth. Well, technically he's in fourth place with 52, sharing that with Jen, who has come out of last. And I managed to slip all the way back from third place to last place with 51. I am clearly investing all of my time and energy in the Pickem. So
100%.
whatever you do, don't follow my picks on those. Okay, so Eric, why don't you take it away for us with the fantasy update?
Well, you fell behind in Pickem, but certainly not in fantasy. So I'm going to give the top five. We're going to give the team name,
Scott's
the manager name, the game week 34 total, and the total for the season. So number 5, the special one managed by Gonzalo Ablando. He has 56 game week 34 points for 1,946 of the season. At number 4 spot in the standings, Stedmania United by Cyan Stedman had 31 game week 34 points, 1,999 total. Number 3 spots in the standings, Inkheart, managed by Sushant Mane, had 29 game week 34 points for 2008 on the season. And in number 2 spot, Charles Reed with Winbasaka had 31 game week 34 points, 2017 total points for the season. And the number 1 spot, our very own Scott Mackey, Wealthyoung, 5 ATB, has 56 game week 34 points for a total of 2028. So quite a race at the top of the table.
Yeah. This last week, fantasy wise, I was not a fan. To be honest. The Liverpool Man United postponement meant quite a few of my players were not participating, which was not fun. And then in addition to that, I had 2 of my defensive players who are regular starters all of a sudden not play as well. So I was very not pleased. And Scott, I'm not saying you've done anything inappropriate by any means, but you definitely caught a lucky break last week. So congratulations on leaping me for this 1 week. And this coming week's going to be fun.
Well, luck is the residue of design, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So
yeah, you should turn that into a pillow. Like get that stitched on a pillow
or a cat poster.
I'm gonna make a hat.
There we go.
I'm gonna make like a bucket hat so I don't get my bald head sunburnt.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Smart move. Yeah. But okay, so the let's see, the Pickem games that we have for this week.
Yes.
Honestly, this is going to be a fun week. We got some big games and big implications for the race for the top. I don't even know how many it is. There could be a lot of changes. There could be, again, be up to 7 spots available for Europe this season. We'll have to wait and see how things shake out with the ends of the different tournaments. But specifically, people still shooting for top 4. I mean, we're pretty certain it's a top 5 now that Chelsea and City are in the Champions League final. First game, Leeds and Spurs. Leeds and Spurs at Leeds. What are we thinking, Jen?
That was so mean. Going with me first. I'm gonna go draw.
Draw. All right.
Are we recording this? Do we need to keep a record of it?
We got it.
I hope we're recording this.
No. I mean, write it down so that we have it for.
Yes.
We are recording it. It'd be the old lens caps on, like, oh crud, but. Yeah. I'm on the Ryan Mason train, baby. Give me Spurs.
That's right. Give me the Fighting Masons, brick by brick.
That was actually witty.
Brick by brick. Yeah, I'm gonna go against the grain. We're taking Leeds all the way. Just because I gotta make a point.
Don't you feel
somehow.
dirty doing that?
Yes, extraordinarily.
I hope you're listening, Christian.
All right. So next game up. Honestly, I don't know. I was gonna say game of the week, but honestly, I would say there are two top games of the week this week, and this is just one of them. So we have City versus Chelsea. Possible preview of the Champions League final. Jen.
City.
City. Very strong. They are at home, by the way.
Right.
Eric. City. Scott.
I don't think City play very many of their starters. I think it'll be a draw probably.
All right. I'm going to pick Chelsea. I agree with Scott, and I think that Chelsea still has something to prove in the league. City, in my opinion, City are the presumptive champions. I think they only need 3 total points to officially be crowned champions, and they're not going to worry about getting it done against Chelsea. They're going to target the following matchup. All right. The other game of the week, the rescheduled Manchester United versus Liverpool at Old Trafford. Jen.
I don't want to go first on this one.
Okay, fine.
We already picked this game, right? Just
well, I mean, things change.
Who's going to change their pick? Cowards.
I will.
Eric. I knew it.
You know I'm not changing. I have no reason to change, but like I said before the protest, give me United, unfortunately. Ugh.
Scott?
I need United to do this just to get Liverpool out of our way. So
I am adjusting my pick, which last week was a draw, because I'll explain. It was at that time, that game was less important than the Europa League game that was coming up. So there was less necessity. I mean, yes, it's a big rivalry game. They did one, but I thought that they would only push to take a point at the worst. So that's why I picked draw last week. This week, I think they have the freedom to go guns blazing at Liverpool and take them down. I think United do that. Jen.
Fine, I'll say draw just to be different.
Sweet. I love it.
Mason Greenwood winner.
You picked him this week, didn't you?
No.
Lies.
What do you mean?
Lies. All right, next game up. Scott's favorite team versus Eric's favorite team. West Ham versus Everton.
I thought it was Brighton Wolves.
Fair.
Oh, that's good.
So I okay. So I'm gonna go West Ham. Unfortunately, as much as I was saying, like I was enjoying them being there, they can go away now.
Eric.
My turn. West Ham 3-0.
Ooh, big confidence. Scott.
I want Everton to win, but I don't think James is going to play, right? I think he's out.
I think he's out.
With that said, I'm thinking 4-0 Everton.
Ooh. Wow, big time.
Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, just dominate the bubble boys.
Ooh, come on, Scott. Jeez.
In my opinion, this is your goal scoring feast of a game this week. There is I'm predicting a West Ham victory, but I'm thinking something like 4-3, maybe 5-3 in that regard. We're going to see some Antonio goals. We're going to see some Lingard goals, Messi Lingard, and Everton's going to put on a show, but they're just not strong enough right now to take down West Ham. In my opinion,
this is the Moyes Derby.
That's right.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of emotion here for the Moyes.
Oh geez, stop.
Okay, and our last of our Pickem. Honestly, there's some really great games this week, but our last Pickem game this week, another monster game for Man United. They got to play Leicester as well. Whew, they have 3 games this week that account for this game week. They play Villa on Saturday, Leicester on Tuesday, and then Liverpool on Thursday. So it's kind of crazy when you say Man United Villa is the worst game that they have this weekend, or the easiest game that they have. But yeah, Man United Leicester. What do you guys think?
Jen? United.
United as well.
United as well. Scott?
Vardy and Maguire just makes me nervous. I just can't.
Former teammates.
Yeah, I just know it's got to be Leicester. It's got to be Leicester, right?
All right.
Especially with the schedule, and by then you might not even need this match to secure.
Mathematically,
you don't need this match really in retrospect. And I'll take that back. Yeah, Leicester.
If we beat, I think we need 5 points to ensure Champions League qualification,
right?
To ensure we won't fall out of the top 4. Which now, if it's the top 5, that's even easier. So,
I guess you are going against a direct competitor
Mhm.
here. So if you were going to take one of these 3 seriously, Leicester.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk myself out of it.
I'm going with a draw. I think that United will absolutely put up a fight against them. I think United are the better team in all facets, but same thing you said, Vardy versus Maguire. Leicester, they've kind of got this weird up and down thing going on right now. So they could just as easily be super hot as they could be super, cold when they come out against us. I think United take it easy on Villa this Saturday and plan and prep more for the game against Leicester. I think that matters more because of Leicester being
it's a 6-pointer.
sitting in third right now. So that's my opinion. I think it's going to be a draw, just because I think at the end, comes to the final 5 minutes, Ole is not going to push it. He's going to take the point over 0 points. We'd rather keep status quo of second and third.
Perfect. Lose to Chelsea, draw to United, drop to 5 points, and Leicester Spurs on the final day is everything.
That would be a fun game to watch. I'm not going to lie. I'll take it. As long as United is secure, don't care. That'd be fun. So, all right.
We'll drop points to Leeds, though, so it won't matter.
It's true. That's true. That's why I picked them. All right. Now let's wrap it up. I'm going to kick it over to Eric. What's been going on in the world of football?
Well, as anybody who follows me or knows me, I'm a big music guy. And in our group DM the other day on WhatsApp, we had a big music discussion. And the What in the World today has a little bit of a music taste. Ed Sheeran, of the nice lad. I enjoy some of his work, like Thinking Out Loud, Lego House, Don't, many other hits. He's actually going to be the main sponsor across the middle of the shirt of Ipswitch Town's next season. He's going to be the sponsor of his new tour coming up. It's going to have his name, and it's going to have the symbols of his albums are all mathematical symbols. So you math teachers will love that. It's got the plus, minus, dividing sign, multiplication sign. It says, it'll say tour across. And he grew up not too far from Ipswich Town, and he's been a big fan of the team. And he inked a deal with them to have his tour on their home shirts, I believe, for the next upcoming season. So good for Ed, man. That's kind of cool.
Nice.
I think it's the women's team too, right? That's cool. Men's and women's for Ipswich. Yeah.
Sweet. Oh, that's great. That's great. It's good to honestly. I think that's where people want to see it. They want to see positive influences coming in and impacting football, because football is such a positive impact for so many of us. Overall.
Real quick, speaking of women's football, we gotta give our Lady Knowles a shout out, man. They beat Penn State to advance into the Elite Eight 3-1. It was a very exciting match.
Absolutely.
Came on strong in the second half with that pen that sealed it up, and very proud of them. So
yeah, I hope they go further. I hope they go all the way, honestly, and win their second national title. That would be fantastic. So another quick note, something that is developing and something that we will probably talk about again over the next few weeks and probably into the summer as things continue. A 15-year-old in the United States, she is suing the National Women's Soccer League over their rule stating that you have to be 18 years old to participate in the professional women's league. This is, essentially this, what they're claiming is that this is gender discrimination that they're engaging in, because every professional men's league, they don't have that same 18-year-old age limit. I mean, Freddie Adu went and played for the was it Philadelphia Union, I think was his first team, at the age of 14 years old. And it was encouraged.
It was DC, I think, wasn't it?
Was it DC? Okay,
DC United.
That was so many years ago, but yeah. So it's going to be interesting. Like the suit was just filed. There haven't been any responses or anything yet. So just something for us to track. Obviously, it's going to have big implications. And I've always been a proponent. If they're good enough, let them play. So I kind of hope that she does win and is able to adjust that age rule, because there's no reason that if she's able to compete, if she's able to succeed, let her play, man. There's no good reason not to.
I'm pro labor in almost every scenario, so good for her.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you guys. It's been absolutely wonderful chatting, especially about all the happenings in the Premier League this week. It's been a very, very busy news week in my opinion, especially with the all the remnants of the Super League and the protests. And I think we've got a few more weeks still of protests that we'll have to talk about. But overall, it's a great discussion. Thanks to all the listeners for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.
Up the Reds.